passion is contagious. You can get it from people like Les Hagen here, the winemaker at Clopecki Estates, showing off his newest black lamb, a working ranch that he has. One of his passions is for Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is not called the heartbreak grape for nothing. But in the Santa Rita Hills, they have one of the longest hang times for Pinot Noir grapes in the world, and that produces some really fine wines. Believe me, I bought both of these wines and they're really good. Now, lots of creatures kind of float in and out and are attracted to wineries. Some are pretty ethereal, and some are more down to earth. So we have all kinds of people that are attracted to wineries. Dallas Creek Winery is one of the ones I visited in California. They feature Rhone varietals, GSMs, Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedres. Fantastically complex mixtures of wines and a beautiful winery. Now, the most beautiful gardens in any winery that I went to were at Ferrari Carano Winery in the Sonoma Valley. It shows you some of the roses and the really gorgeous fountain there. They also had some gorgeous Cabernet Sauvignons. Can't talk about wine without talking about terroir. Wine should tell you something about the earth that it comes from. And Napa Valley has one of the most famous terroirs in the whole world. Some of the best cabs come from Napa Valley in the whole world. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and long I stood before I took the left fork. Wine to me is about quality, not quantity. This is a Napa Valley wine that has some quality ones. On to trees. One of my favorite blooming trees is the redbud. This is actually the western redbud in the foothills of the Sequoia National Park. As we're going into the Sequoia National Park, one of the first really big giant sequoias you see is the sentinel, which is very appropriate because giant sequoias are called the sentinels of the Sierras. Of course, the granddaddy of all the giant sequoias, the largest tree in the world, is the General Sherman tree. The General Sherman tree, 275 feet tall, 2,200 years old. Any tree that when I stand at the base of it makes me look like a munchkin from The Wizard of Oz is an awesome tree. 35 feet in diameter. Now, part of the appeal of giant sequoias is not just their massive size. That's the biggest tree in the world, by the way. These three graces have such a beautiful form that this grouping, to me, is almost ethereally beautiful, the way it presents itself. Now, one fact about these trees is that they have very spongy, thick bark, which makes them fire resistant. There's some fire scars. They actually use fire up there to get good regeneration of these trees. So there's lots of fire scars. On to gardens. This is just somebody's front garden along Highway 1 on the central coast of California. Tons of creeping phlox with the iconic California poppy in the background there. Now, on to the conservatory flowers at Golden Gate Park, where you see this beautiful bed of flowers leading you into the conservatory. Now, once we get into the conservatory, there are loads of beautiful blooming orchids. This particular hybrid orchid was one of the most beautiful ones that I photographed while I was there. And orchids are one of my favorite garden plants. Indoor here, of course, but you know, we do have a few native orchids. This is a Japanese tea garden at Golden Gate Park, and here you see reflected in this topiary cedar the actual structural reflection of that pagoda. Great garden design. Azaleas, another favorite of mine. These brilliant scarlet azaleas kind of light up this corner of the Japanese tea garden in a way that I think is really gorgeous. Finally, I'm a native plant gardener, and this California lilac, Ceanothus is the genus, was in full bloom when we were at the Golden Gate Park. So I had to show you one picture of a native California shrub in full bloom. Now, for the final slide, we see the sunset over that icon of California, the Golden Gate Bridge. Thanks.